All right, everyone, welcome back. Off the Record, episode 4. So, since our last episode was such a hit, we had so many people calling in and ask,
Literally, we had less than 100 people, but that was a lot for us.
um, by popular demand.
This is what happens when you start a podcast with like girls.
Oh my goodness. Okay, no, but on a serious note, we did want to do a continuation episode from episode 3, which
Right.
were red flags. But we did have someone reach out to us seeking dating advice.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that cool? Who would have thought that we started our podcast and then episode 4, and we already have somebody on the show that wants to come and talk about their dating life?
So everyone meet Vanessa, our anonymous guest for today. She did reach out to us seeking advice and guidance in preparation for her first date ever. So, Vanessa,
Well,
we
first
do
of all,
have
how old is Vanessa? This is on her first date ever. Okay, we're not going there. Okay, all right, just asking,
She's old enough.
asking for a friend.
She's
So did you
legal.
say, Shawnee, our guest, this is her first date ever? That's exciting.
that is exciting. Do you guys remember your first date?
No, I don't think I ever had one, but no, no, just kidding. No, I don't remember. Yes, I do. I do remember. I do remember. Yes.
I don't
I
know.
remember my first date. Amanda, do you remember your first date?
I'm trying to figure. Oh, I don't think
So
so.
young.
I can't. I don't know.
Okay, so Vanessa, tell us about the build-up. You said it took him a day to ask you out. So how did we get there that fast?
Well, we met on a dating app and we swiped right, yes, on each other. And we had a few go and back and forth hi hellos. And he asked me, you want to go out for dinner and a date?
Okay, so he got your number off of the app. Like you gave it to him?
We do not have each other's numbers. I have not given
Okay. I like
him.
that. Safety, ladies. We touched on safety in last week's episode. So good. Good choice, Vanessa. All right. And then what was your response into that? Well, obviously you said yes, but like how did he ask you out on a date?
He gave me a few options and I went with the safest option, the one I
Which
was more
was
comfortable, just going out for coffee.
okay, so I know Kenise is in favor of this.
Well, was it a safest option because it's your first date, or a safest option because like you listened to our podcast and then you wrote us and said you wanted to come on our show?
It was the safest option because I took the advice I learned from the podcast, listening to the podcast.
Okay, so you guys can disagree with me. Okay, you guys can be, you're allowed to disagree with me. So I think it's our first date. I agree. It should be like, pod, like it should be just coffee. Like, what if she doesn't like him when she sees him? You guys disagree.
I mean, didn't he ask, like, he gave other options too. So can we meet in the middle between coffee and maybe you're not ready for dinner yet? Somewhere where, like, if it's a nice cafe where you can sit down and lounge and just like, chit chat, is it that type of vibe? Or is it like we're standing there with our coffees? Like, what do we do now?
I will say, yes, Kenise, I do disagree with you. I think all of our listeners know that I disagree with you from last week's episode. Now, I would say that if it is coffee that we settled on, Vanessa, there's nothing wrong with coffee, as your first date. Um, it better be a nice cafe. It better be a nice cafe. If he's taking you to Starbucks on your first date, then I don't know. I don't think I would like that, but
I think it should be somewhere where it allows for you to talk. Like, I know some Starbucks are like fancy and they have like those lounge areas for you to sit down and engage, like in conversation. Because if you go to the small ones, it's kind of like grab and go or stand at a table. I agree with Shawnee. I don't think that's the environment you want to be in. So maybe not Starbucks and maybe just like a nice cafe. I think that's a good middle ground where you can probably get a bite to eat, you can sit, chat, and kind of figure out, is this the first and last date, or is this the first of potentially maybe lunch next time? That kind of thing.
Vanessa, when you told us about this scenario, when you called us, you stated that he asked, right? Did he give you options
Options
for your
for
first date?
he did either dinner or coffee or walking around the city.
I think you also mentioned that he
Walking
opted to
dates.
find somewhere, like he volunteered to find.
This is correct, yes. He said he
Okay.
would find a good cafe and let me know.
I think
Okay.
those are all positives. I don't see any red flags thus far, right? He's taking the action, he's giving her options.
Wait, well, how long ago did he ask you out on a date?
This was less than a week ago.
Okay, so less than a week ago, and we're approaching the actual day of the date. Has he solidified or confirmed the actual venue of where this is taking place?
Not the actual address.
So what's he waiting for?
Well, hopefully you guys can answer that. Help me out.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like I said, we're like really shy of creeping up on the day of your first date. You obviously you have your own life. You need to make your plans accordingly. And I feel like at this point he should have already confirmed the location, the venue. I don't know what he's waiting for. Shying his feet. Mm, minor red flag for me.
But is it because Vanessa is not engaging in conversation?
Vanessa, are you engaging in conversation?
I am a little bit, but I also have not asked where we exactly meet in. I haven't asked
You
that.
don't need to ask.
Okay,
You do
good.
not need to ask where you're meeting. He pitched you the plan. You told him, I'm okay with coffee. At that point, the ball's in his court. He needs to lock you in and reserve you for that time and that date, and this is where we're going.
So before we jumped on the show, Vanessa, you mentioned that he chatted you today and asked, "Are we still on for Saturday?" Correct? Is that right?
This is correct. Yes, this is correct.
Vanessa, I feel like we're getting very like bits and pieces of this story. So I don't know how I can advise you if we're not getting the full story. So tell us the actual full story, communication. How's that been? You know, has it been every day that you guys are chatting? Is it like very often throughout the day? Is it sporadically? Has he referenced the date? I just learned from Kenise. I'm sorry I jumped on a little bit later. So I'm sure she had more details than I did. But if he asked you, you know, are we still on for Saturday? Then yes, that is confirmation then.
He did ask how do we feel about meeting on Saturday. He never um sent me the address or the location to the place, so I'm not really sure exactly where we're meeting up.
But
He
you
did
said
mention
yes though, right?
yes.
Okay.
We do chat throughout the day. I take my time answering back. I'm not texting him 2 seconds after he texts me because I learned that we don't do that. Females don't we don't do that.
We said that in our last episode.
Yes, I'm learning, this is a great podcast. You guys have some really good advice. And then he also asked today and said he's a little excited and nervous. And how do I feel about?
He's like, what's the word? He's transparent. He's a little vulnerable there.
That's really nice. Not a lot of guys would have said something like that. He's in touch with his feelings. I like that, Vanessa.
That's not a
So
red flag.
No.
I don't see any red flags so far.
That's not a
I
red
think
flag.
you're a red flag.
You can't
Thank
call you
Vanessa.
can't call our viewers red flags.
No, I'm just saying. Listen, Vanessa, we told you the disclaimer on this show was that we're going to be real with you. I think this gentleman knows what he wants. He obviously finds you attractive. If he asked you the next, like one day after meeting each other via like the online app or whatever, and one day after, like he's already like, hey, I'm interested, that type of thing. Like, I think he knows what he wants. He sees you, he likes you, he thinks you're attractive. Obviously, you're holding him in a conversation for the last couple of days. And so I think the red flag might be you. So let's talk about your red flags. Let's
I'm
review.
I'm sensing, Vanessa, that you are holding back in,
Right.
your I guess putting in real effort into this connection and giving it a fair shot. Can I ask, have you healed maybe from previous, relationships or past traumas? Because that was also something we touched on last week's episode, is just making sure that you are emotionally good yourself in order to embrace anything new that's coming along your journey. So how are you?
I think I'm very cautious going forward with people because of the past.
Yeah.
I'm taking my time and learning what
Yeah.
to do and what not to do.
Yeah. And I feel like, for the ladies that are listening, that's definitely something I feel like we've all been there at a point where we've been hurt, by something, someone, a past situation. And it's really hard to put yourself back out there again. But I really, Vanessa, encourage you to go into this date with an open mind, right? Giving this guy a fair shot. He seems fairly nice so far for the most part. But I would go in with a positive attitude, open mind, open heart, and not comparing him to maybe past situations that you've dealt with. Because that's not fair to him, and you wouldn't want to be compared as well, right? If you were to be in a reverse situation, you wouldn't want a guy to be like, oh, well, she's probably going to break my heart, or, I don't want to get too invested, instead of giving you a real shot.
Thank you. I agree. Yes.
That's
How has
great
your
advice.
conversation been? So sorry, Kenise.
No, I just tell Shawnee that that was great advice. I think
Yes.
that's to her point. I think it's great that you're able to pull that out. And that's what we do here on this show. We're able to pull out your emotions. So I think that's great, Shawnee. Something for Vanessa to look deep within and really consider. Because I think a lot of that is going to be how she feels internally when she goes on this date on Saturday. And we are going on a date on Saturday, aren't we, Vanessa?
As of right now, yes.
Okay,
If what place
fantastic.
Confirm
would
with
you-
that man, please.
if this person would text me the address, then that would be confirmation.
So you said that the person told you that they asked if you're still on for Saturday. Do you girls think that it's okay for Vanessa to text back and say, yes, definitely, where would you like to meet?
Yes, given that I now have all of the information and a fuller picture, I would say yes, that's an appropriate response, Vanessa.
And Shawnee and Amanda, you guys want dinner, walk in the park, or Kinesis coffee at Starbucks?
So personally, a walk in the park is not for me.
Oh, no, when it doesn't include food, it's not for Shawnee.
It's not. Amanda, what do you think about a walk in the park?
You know, I don't mind a walk in the park, but I don't think it's our first date. I wouldn't put her in a park with a man she doesn't know. That's for like when you actually know somebody, I feel. But I think the coffee at a nice cafe is a good idea. Because it doesn't seem like Vanessa is very experienced. So, in efforts to making her feel safe as well and secure, I think a nice cafe would be great. And then dinner next.
If there's a second date, then dinner next.
Well, you see, Vanessa, already a little pessimistic going into
Yes.
this first date. I'm picking up these vibes from you. If it works out, great. And if it doesn't, like, I don't want you to walk away from that date with like a defeatist attitude, saying, "Oh, well, this is why I don't go out on dates," or, "This is why I don't do this." Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes you like literally 50 first dates to get to the person that's actually meant for you. So go in with no expectations, right? Go in to have a good time, go in to genuinely get to know this person. At the very least, maybe this person could be a friend. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just go in to have fun. Go with a positive attitude. If a second date comes out of it, great. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Man, I cut you off. We were going to say something before. would.
I was just curious because Vanessa hasn't shared like as much, so I'm
Right.
curious to know what that conversation is like with them. Like
Mhm.
she says she's texting back, she's waiting to text. Okay, I
Right.
get it. You're playing the game, all good. But what is that conversation like?
Mm,
What are you asking each other?
Ooh, good question.
very good question.
The first thing I did ask was, how does a person describe themselves in 3 words and their hobbies, which I feel like most people do ask when you're first talking to someone. I think those were good questions.
Okay.
And then afterwards, there hasn't really been any good conversations. It's been like, good morning, how are you? How's your day? What are you doing today? It hasn't been engaging.
But okay, when those questions are asked, are we giving the generic answers? I'm fine, you, or am I saying, like, am I giving you a little tidbit of what my day is really like?
It's a little, I do mention, hey, I have either work today or other activities.
And what is his response then?
This person does go into the same detail, same energy I'm given is the same energy this person is given. So we're matching each other's
I
energy.
like that. I like that you picked up the fact that you guys are matching each other's energy. And I like that he's cautious not to give too much because he'll scare you. Because if he goes through his entire day's agenda, you'll be like, oh my gosh, what is this? It sounds like Shawnee. Shawnee doesn't like a lot of texting, whereas Amanda wants you to tell her, like, tell me when you go to the
I
bathroom, what are you
hate
have for
that.
lunch.
Oh my God. Oh, that'll scare me.
Disclaimer, guys, that is not what I like. Um, but I'm still curious about like the depth of the conversation because could it be this is why we're taking so long to confirm this date? Are we?
I don't think so, Amanda. I actually like how this conversation is going with Vanessa and her date so far.
Okay.
Because
Me too.
even like the question that she asked, like name three how I feel like those are first date questions. Those are dates
Right.
that you
Agreed.
ask to someone like face to face. Because if you get into like real like, conversation over text, there's nothing that's gonna be like available
Right.
to talk about on the
Mhm.
first date, and then that'll be a little awkward. So save the
True.
conversation for coffee, I guess.
Okay, so a simpler question then. Do you feel excited about kind of like embarking on a first date with this person?
Honestly,
Yes, please.
not really. I'm a little bored with the person. Like I feel like the engagement wise, it's not going nowhere. Like the conversations are a little boring. I could go into give more energy, but will I receive that same energy?
But you
No.
said just now that he's meeting your energy. So maybe if you're giving that low energy vibe and he's meeting that, maybe you are the red flag. Let's be real.
Vanessa,
What do you
Vanessa,
think?
I'm the only one on this podcast that hasn't called you a red flag.
There's still time.
Mhm. Right. Right. Really good point. There was something for Vanessa to think about.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Vanessa, can I ask you a question? What would make you excited to go on this first date, conversation wise? However you guys are having it, I'm assuming it's over text. What would make you excited to see this person?
I think if there was more of a emotional connection to this person, like if I really was like really interested in this person,
Mm.
if the interest was really there, then yes, of course, let's meet up right now.
Okay, but you didn't meet with this person yet. So you need to meet with this person like officially in order to establish that emotional something.
More like if I was excited to speak to this person, like I see this text message come through and I want to respond right now, but I'm
Mm.
holding back because I know you don't respond right now.
So you don't get that feeling with this person.
I do not.
So you
As
see
of right now.
their name pop up on your phone and you roll your eyes.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Like I can wait. I know I don't need to text this person back right now.
So why are you going on the date? Why are you wasting this guy's time? You are the red flag, but tell me.
Oh,
It's,
you
it's
got called a red
official.
flag.
It's official. It's official then.
Why are you doing this? He seems to really like you. And so let me rephrase that. Do you want to go out on this date with this person?
I think I'll give this person a chance. He seems like a
Okay.
nice guy. He's settled in life, like he's mature. I'll give him a chance and see where things go.
That's what we like to hear at Off the Record podcast.
All right, well, make sure you call in, right? And give us an update. We want to hear how the date went.
Yes, I will definitely be doing that, writing in, calling in. Make sure you guys see my name, Vanessa.
And if it
Know who
works
I am.
out, we expect wedding invitations.
Please.
You guys will sponsor the wedding.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. Off the record sponsor. That's great.
If
Have
you
guys-
end up marrying this man, I think we might just sponsor that
right.
wedding.
Well, Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us on Off the Record podcast. It was great to have you.
Yes,
Thank you for having me.
Good luck.
Luck. Keep us posted. And so that does it.
Yeah.
That is our fourth installment of Off the Record. Thank you guys so much again for joining us. Again, like Vanessa, feel free to reach out to us if you find yourself in any
Yeah.
dilemmas, challenges, issues. We want to hear it all. So stay tuned for episode 5. Signing off for now.
See ya.
Bye.